Welcome back to part two of our series on the credit union sector, some reform points to ponder. This section deals with the question of modernization. I'm Christopher Lewis, and I'd like to start off as usual with an opinion disclaimer that the views expressed in this presentation are solely my views and my views only. Starting off with modernization, you may ask, why is modernization important for the credit union sector? It is simply a question of staying competitive, keeping ahead, attracting new membership, growing as an institution. You cannot achieve long-term success in the digital age without some degree of modernization to ensure that you keep up with your membership and you provide the level of services and standards that they expect. The aspects of modernization that I will be focused on are technology, member education and services, policies and procedures, legislation and structure, mindsets and attitudes, and the use of data analytics. There may be other key elements of modernization which you may want to suggest, but these are the six that I am focusing on today. Starting off with technology. Now, to modernize in terms of technology requires specialized knowledge to make the best technology choices. And of course, if you make the wrong choice, it could be very costly to the organization. Research capability is also needed to determine what selections should be made in terms of technology options. And specialized technical skills are usually required to oversee the implementation process. For this reason, it is recommended that the credit union sector come together to adopt a credit union technology modernization project to support the continued technological modernization of the sector. This ideally should be a collaborative project led and funded by the credit union movement and hopefully with support from the relevant government entities. This project should be resourced with the requisite technical skills to determine and assess the technology-driven way forward for the movement, with varying paths according to the size of the entity involved. So the expected outcomes would be one, a technology introduction and utilization template, which would be sized to fit the different sizes of credit unions in terms of asset size, membership size, and reach, and so on. And as well, another expected outcome would be recommended IT policies and procedures according to the best fit, as mentioned before. So, in detail, the shared services arrangement could provide shared platforms for mobile banking, electronic signatures, ACH, ATMs, IFRS 9 and 16, electronic overseas transfers, lending applications, and so on. The second element which I'd like to address in terms of modernization is of modernization of member education and services. And here it is recommended that we pursue a digital approach. In the digital age, unfortunately, many of us are stuck in the past with the traditional in-person outreach to members. So this global pandemic has shown the limitations of such an approach. One, it's very costly. Secondly, not everyone can attend. So what is recommended is that we make more use of what is available in the digital age: online learning, webinars, online studios to communicate with the membership, creation of digital books, online tutorials on how to use the credit union services, etc. In the area of shared member services, we may also wish to include insurance plans, medical as well as life insurance, etc., ATMs, education programs, and call center services. Policies and procedures. Again, on the theme of modernization, there may be a need at this time for an overhaul of HR policies, taking into account the new ways of work, such as remote working, and the new technologies which are available to manage the human resource. We will also need to focus on the development of enterprise risk management frameworks, compliance protocols, internal audit functions. Particularly, these functions have gained prominence in the last 10 or 15 years or so. Business continuity plans would definitely need to be updated. And again, this is a shared service recommendation that will be of benefit to all members of the movement. And finally, what is recommended is the development of a standardized operating manual as is seen in the state enterprise sector under the purview of the recommended regulatory authority. In terms of legislation and structure, in part one of this series, we address the issue of corporate governance changes. I won't go into that here. But to go along with that, likely we would need to have a new Credit Union Act reflecting the possibilities of technology in 2021 versus 1971. Also suggested is a review of board and committee structures. And finally, what is recommended is a view of organization structures, especially in terms of the adequacy of human resources to meet the demands of today in terms of compliance, risk, internal audit, cybersecurity, digital marketing. Mindsets and attitudes is a critical component of the modernization of the sector. It is no use investing in elaborate, expensive technologies and standards and policies and so on if you have not addressed the issue of the persons who are expected to carry out those set policies and to use the recommended or the newly purchased technologies. So for this reason, credit unions may need to invest in an intervention by behavioral and change management consultants to help reach the destination that we are all trying to reach. Recruitment should also prioritize the recruits' openness to change, familiarity with new technologies, disposition to serve membership, so that in the end, the recruits which are hired meet the objectives which are expected in the new modernized credit union. Finally, I'd like to address the issue of the use of data analytics. Credit unions collect very detailed data on its membership. When you join, when you do a transaction, we know who you are, where you work, size of family, what's your interests, what sort of loans you're looking to get or have taken out. And it's important to mine this data on a regular basis to help in the development of new products and to make the right decisions for the membership. Financial data should also be analyzed to detect trends, potential growth areas, and also areas of concern. This will help to eliminate the guesses, the hunches, the personal opinions, which may lead to wrong decision making. So, in summary, the key targets of modernization are technology, member education, policies and procedures, legislation and structure, mindsets and attitudes, and the use of data analytics. As usual, your comments and feedback are welcome. Let's help to move the reform agenda along, and you can look out for part 3, which will cover sector growth and marketing. Thank you for viewing.